The desert is the most desolate part of the world, which for so many years have become stripped of vegetation and surface water. Therefore, life in the desert is harsh and mostly does not exist. There are several deserts around the world, but the Sahara Desert is the most active, constantly expanding and encroaching up on all life around it. The Sahara Desert is the world's biggest hot desert, covering up around 12,000 square miles of land in northern Africa. The desert is a major contributor to the problematic warming of the Earth's climate. Will you invest your money in the Sahara Desert in order to save mankind? That is exactly what this scientist wants you to do. Meet Dr. Newton Jibunoh, a soil engineer born in Nigeria and trained in the United Kingdom. Dr. Jibunoh is a delegate to the global conferences in climate change in Kyoto, Bangladesh, Copenhagen, Cancun, and the future conference scheduled in South Africa for 2012. We spoke with Dr. Jibunoh in Cancun after the COP16 conference, where his reforestation project in the Sahara Desert has been adopted as Africa's position for solutions to control global warming. What's the message that you will tell to the people around the world in this moment for changing and do it this big step to change the mentality and catch and really develop the green energy?
I have developed a program in the Sahara Desert, which is known as the Desert Warrior Initiative, sponsored by Lagos State Government, one of the governments in Nigeria. For me and for Lagos State Government to be able to carry this whole project to the next generation, we are developing these young men and women, and we are turning the program into a reality show, which we call the Desert Warrior Reality Show, a journey of a lifetime.
Wow.
And then we have produced 10, 20 episodes already. Wow. And it's become very popular
in Africa.
Africa. It's been shown on 5 television stations.
Wow.
Because there was that need to synthesize not just the Africans, but the global community about the need for continuity, the need to carry this to another level, and the need to prepare those that will take over if and when I'm no longer able to carry on with this project. So with that reality show, which is now being shown on so many television stations in Africa, people are getting educated.
How you, because he was like a Christopher Columbus that I think that it's very difficult for him and also for you to find the funds to work on this project.
Lagos used to be the capital city of Nigeria before it was moved to Abuja in 1991. And when the capital moved, almost every good thing in Lagos moved with the capital. And Lagos started going down, becoming a major siege, especially for migration. And today's figure shows that over 600,000 human beings migrate into Lagos every year and has tripled the population over a period of 10 years, from about 8 to 9 million to 15 million today. And most of those migration is taking place as a result of desertification. People that are migrating from the Sahara Desert end up in Lagos. So in the last 10 years, the Lagos state government decided to embark on a massive regeneration of greenery, especially because greenery, let's face it, is the only known solution for counteracting the degradation, environmental degradation. And apart from doing that, since they have also been informed, not just by any report, even United Nations report indicates that majority of the migrants from the Sahara Desert end up in Lagos. Lagos now decided to be part of recovering part of the Sahara Desert that will not only stop people from leaving their land because of the encroachment of the deserts, but to also help those that have left to go back and become part of the productive arrangement to bring back life into the Sahara Desert.
I would like you to tell me in a short message the problems that you have had in Africa for the climate change, and that will affect in a certain way to the whole world, in all the world.
Yes.
That they say, well, the problem that in Africa have is not my problem,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it won't affect me.
Yes, it will stop the food from coming to your table if you don't take care of your environment. It will stop that water that you're getting from the lakes and from the rivers from getting to your table. It will stop. It will increase the.
It will stop the food of the developed countries.
Oh yes.
It will stop the water
It will
of
stop
the
the
United
water.
States, the problem that you have in Africa.
Oh yes. You see, we are living in a global village. Global warming that is coming out of the Sahara Desert. As you know, once this whole thing goes up there, you never know where it is going to get to, because the CO2 that is being generated in most of the industrialized nations as a result of their industrialization is affecting people in Africa. The same way, that warming of the climate from the Sahara Desert is bound to have effects in Europe. If you cross the Mediterranean Sea, for instance, into Spain, you will encounter a lot of desertification. There is no desert in Europe, but desertification is already in Spain.
So it's coming up.
It's coming up. That is crossing the whole Mediterranean and getting into Spain. So that is the effect of this whole thing about changes in the climate. Because once you have a wind speed of about 120 miles an hour, which you get in almost all the coastal countries of the world, you never know where that wind speed will carry, what it will carry. It's going to carry a lot of CO2 that is generated from here to Africa. It's also going to carry a lot of desertification that is generated in Africa into Europe. And that is the effect. That is what this whole thing about climate change, global warming is about.
But a lot of countries, developed countries, don't want to invest and give funds to the problem.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of these countries are also beginning to experience the effects of changes in the climate with their various climatic phenomena. I mean, you now have some countries that didn't have flood for many years. I mean, look at Australia, for instance. More than half of Australia is underwater as we speak. And they have not quite come out of it. What we're hearing now is bushfire. There is mudsliding in Brazil. There is massive flooding in Pakistan. There is the earthquake in Haiti. There is the various tornadoes and tsunamis and Katrinas all over. So, and all these things are coming as a result of the changes in the climate. So, I think with all that, most of the countries have started realizing that there is that need to cut. Because it's only by cutting that you can bring down the effects of climate change on the entire planet. Because so there is no country that's immune from this whole phenomenon. The big problem is coming from especially the coastal erosion as a result of climate change. Is coming from desertification as a result of climate change. As you know, the Sahara Desert is the biggest desert in the world. 12,000 miles square.
And it's getting bigger.
And it's getting bigger by the day. Apart from being the largest desert in the world, it is also the only desert that is still very active as a result of the climate change regime that we have all talked about.
I would like you to say this to me and give me your solution to stop the growing of Sahara Desert.
Other deserts of the world have been tamed. For me to be able to find solution to the problem, I have had to travel to all the deserts of the world. I've been to the Australian desert, to the Negev desert, to the Kalahari desert, to the Nevada and Arizona deserts, to carry out characteristic comparison between those deserts and the desert of Africa. And I have found that only the Sahara Desert that is still active and blowing and expanding. So what do? You have to apply the same method as was done with the Negev Desert, or as was done with the Arizona and Nevada Desert, or like they have done in Gobi in China, the country that I visited not too long ago. The only way out is to vegetate. That is the only way you can stop the desert. So I have come up with a solution which I submitted during the COP16 meeting, which I'm also going to carry to South Africa, on how to tame the Sahara Desert and recover not just what has been encroached upon, but to stop the desert from being as active as it is today. And do you know, from the surveys that I have carried out, from the investigation and expeditions that I have conducted across all this desert, if you vegetate a good part of the Sahara Desert, you'll be reducing poverty level by about 80%. Because the people will now be able to traverse the desert and make the movements of goods and services very easy. It will provide potable drinking water for the people, because the more vegetation you have, the more rainfall that you will bring. And 95% of Africans depend on underground water supply. And where is this underground water coming from? From the rains. In the desert, it doesn't rain at all. So they don't have water. In most cases, they have to go to about 250 meters to be able to find water. So if you vegetate, and you can build roads and infrastructures across, because if you don't vegetate, you can't build anything. Attempts have been made, like you will see in my report, over the years, since 40 years, attempts have been made by so many countries to build across the Sahara Desert with very little or no success. Because of the encroachment, because of the sand dunes. So the only way is to vegetate. And once you vegetate, you can now build. And once you build, you can bring settlement. And once you bring settlement, there will be industries, employment, and people will have sufficient land to carry out their grazing and agricultural practices. This project, the way I have designed it, the way I have presented it, will take between 40 and 50 years to realize. But it must start now. Because if you don't, the consequences will be so massive that, like I said, the world will not be able to come to the Africa's aid when the crisis begins.
Tell me more about My Desert and I, My Desert and I.
Yes.
Your book. What experience you tell to the world with this book?
Well, my book was written, this is my third book, Me, My Desert and I. As a result of my numerous expeditions across the Sahara Desert, a project that I started well over 40 years ago, when I first crossed the Sahara Desert in the 60s. And that was when I found out that if nothing was done about checking the encroachment of the deserts, if nothing was done about the effect of the encroachment, which is desertification, that Africa will lose a good part of its land to the deserts. And that, over that period, happened. But when I first went across the Sahara Desert, the desert occupied 1/5 of the entire land space of Africa.
1/5.
1/5. Do you know what it is today? 1/3. Not just 1/3. Lake Chad, which was the eye of Africa, which was the beauty, is almost done. Now you can virtually walk across Lake Chad. Those countries that are suffering from that emission can use part of that money to counter, like you have in the rainforest today. The whole world come together to kind of save the rainforests, and the money being used for doing this is coming from a lot of those countries that are emitting more than they should.
Yeah.
The same thing that we are talking about with the Sahara Desert. We need to do a similar development, carry out similar development to counteract the effects of desertification on the nations of Africa.
And who will pay for this change of the industry? That not being more petroleum and doing it with the green energy. Who will pay?
The industrialized nations, they have, a lot of them have pledged to, I mean, America, for instance, at last. I mean, Obama came to Copenhagen, as you would recall, and he pledged, I think, was it $30 billion to the...
Certain things we see, they make us wonder so much about them. Some things we feel, we're thinking, now who go tell us about that? A river, a mountain, the sun, the moon in the midnight sky. I wanna sit down and think about it. I get this feeling like I'm under a moon, down by the bank of the river, watching creation, discovering creations and certain things. Certain things we love, we take it all for us, this they all near extinction. Some things we make, the greatest things in the world that cause extinction. A building, a teaching, a war. Do you remember a life you take? The earth is for life and life's for the earth. Don't follow a giant just to get at us. All that we have, we're just fuels for the earth. Not a dollar, a euro, a yen, a rand, a peso. Oh, certain things, they put us in a bad position. the same.